Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel. This is round 2 against Generic Services in Shalkar's Rise of the Samurai tournament. As again, this is just for fun tournament, not super serious. But I want to talk a little bit about strategy anyway, give you some pointers, give you some tips. This time we're playing on Shinano River. My army is 2 Naginata Levy, Naginata Warrior Monk Hero, 2 Bow Levy, 2 Foot Samurai, 2 Naginata Warrior Monks, Sword Attendants, and of course my General's Bodyguard. This time I've taken no cavalry. I don't think that they're really that great on this map. There are some neat things you can do with cavalry in larger funds battles, but for this sort of battle, this is the army I wanted to go with. My opponent, Generic Services, aka Argentine Tegu, has 2 Bow Attendants, 1 Bow Levy in the center here, 2 Naginata Warrior Monks, 3 Naginata Attendants, his Mounted Samurai Heroes, and his General's Bodyguard. Just as a reminder, he has to take Mounted Samurai Hero in each of his matches, and I am forced to take the Naginata Warrior Monks Heroes in each of my matches. So those will always be a fixture of these games. Now, in this particular map, there is a big river separating the center of the map that becomes a very strong focal point for matches. What I want to do here in this case is rush this workshop. I'm rushing another unit to go rush the archery dojo, and I'm going to try and get my archers lined up here along the riverbank to fire at his army, compel them to come across. Once my army's committed to coming across the river, there's a shallow lip and a bit of a hill here. Now, the river itself causes a lot of drain on the unit's stamina as it comes across, and this hill lets me get a downhill charge. So if I lock his units along this hill here, and then get a downhill charge on them, I'm going to be able to devastate his forces. To do that, I need to make sure that he comes across to my side of the river, so to do that I needed this strong archery component. And this I knew coming into the game, so for that I had the Bow Levy and the Foot Samurai. The reason I had the split of different types of units is that the Bow Levy are very inexpensive. I could split them, put them in front, have them soak fire, and not worry too much about the losses. I'm doing the same thing with these Naginata Levy, who are going to swing around and capture the archery dojo, or rather they're going to try to. I ended up abandoning it before I captured it. But this lets my Foot Samurai fire relatively unmolested against return fire from my opponent. Now, the one thing I sort of need to worry about are these Mounted Samurai Heroes. They're very good at shooting. If you use them to wipe out my sort of Foot Samurai units, I could be in a little bit of trouble, but since I have captured this workshop, my Foot Samurai have so much armor that they're not really going to be threatened all that much by arrow fire. So at this point we're in the skirmishing phase. My opponent's lined up on his side of the river, I'm lined up on mine. My unit that I've rushed forward is going to start taking a lot of shots. I'm not too worried about them, they're sort of a throwaway unit, that's why I've sent them there. I need to send forward my Bow Levy, but I want to make sure the rest of my army's in position in case he tries to blitz across the river. If he does that, my archers are going to be caught out of position if I push them forward too much. So, something I had to consider, and it's something that affected my micro a little bit. If I were better, I could have done both at the same time. Now, for my strategy, what I've got on this flank is just a holding unit of Naginata Warrior Monks. That way I can sort of hold them at the riverbank, assuming that these guys get shot to pieces. I was kind of figuring that they would. If I've got my Sword Attendants in sort of middle, in a very wide, broad formation. Once I've caught them up here, I want to be able to get a clear charge channel down here. If they get a good, clear downhill charge without any terrain, without any units in their way, it's going to be absolutely devastating. On this flank, I'm just trying to hold him back. I don't want him to be able to cross the river on this side without any sort of opposition, so I don't want him wrapping around my left flank. That's what those units are there for, but I'm not really pushing that hard along this flank. I want to break him on the right. And the reason for that is that that's sort of where the concentration of my forces are, and it's just because I'm lazy, honestly. I could have moved my forces around over here, but honestly he wouldn't have committed the majority of his forces over to this side without a good reason either. So here, to volley exchange, you can see that I've moved my Bow Levy forward here, so they're going to be taking the majority of this fire. And these guys cost 250 koku for 160 of them, or 120 of them rather. Very bad at shooting, they're going to get pretty much no kills through this battle, but they're all going to get killed. And normally that's a bad thing with units, but it's going to protect my foot samurai who are standing right here. And those foot samurai are going to be able to get a lot of kills just because they're relatively unmolested. I did make a bit of a poor mistake here. What you want to do under these circumstances is push forward your bow levy so that they're not overlapping with your foot samurai, but my foot samurai are so heavily armored that they're not taking that many casualties anyway. Now I've switched fire over to his general just because he's close there. He's trying to use his general as an archer, so I want to punish that. The general unit does have a lot more armor, so it doesn't necessarily make him a very good target in this particular case, and I might have been better off focusing his bow attendants. But regardless, my plans worked. My relative shooting supremacy has forced his units forward, and he's going to try and charge across the river at this point in time. As you can see, his right bow unit, which was taking more fire, is already about to flee. His center of bow levy, since again bow levy are completely useless, are relatively untouched. I have not been firing at them. I think a few of them sort of on the edges got killed just by collateral fire. Now, my bow levy have started to retreat, so that's the one thing. They will run relatively quickly. They went down to 18 men though, so that was a lot of arrow fire that they absorbed. Here, I'm just running back my Naginata levy. I want to get them into a better position to sort of countercharge the enemies and hold them in place at the right point, and that's this point here. I could have let them get a little bit further up the hill, but I was worried that rapid advance would catch my unit from behind and break through immediately. Instead, I got them in a very good position. My sword attendants are coming in. Now, I needed to hold my spears just a little longer so they've been inspired. They've been rallied. My general is getting into standing fight, and here's the bonsai charge. Just get a close in into that. I've got the blood pack, so this is particularly brutal. Yeah, with that bonsai, they get a huge charge bonus, and they're just going to plow straight through that unit, especially with the general in standing fight. They've got a good charge, they've got excellent melee statistics with that bonsai. You can see that my Naginata Warrior Monk heroes have managed to run around the flank, run past, they're going for his general. On this flank, things are going a bit differently. My Naginata Levy are going to break. My Naginata Warrior Monks, which are relatively fresh, there's enough of them that they'll be able to probably take care of these Naginata Warrior Monks on the enemy side. But the big thing is that I didn't care about winning on this side. What I had to do on this side was just hold them off long enough for me to win in the center and right. And you can see that I've managed to do that. I popped an unnecessary hold firm just in case my Naginata Levy were going to break. But as you can see, it was relatively unnecessary. My opponent's general has been caught by a hero unit and they're just going to go down. And the archers are going to dive. So my general strategy of hold them in place along the riverbank, get a very good charge with my sword attendants, has worked very well in this particular match. If you find yourself in another situation where you can compel your enemy forward, hold them in an unfavorable position that's clear, downhill, or any other advantage for you. That is a very good strategy to employ. You can use it with a vanilla army if you use the Nodachi Samurai and either Yari Ashigaru, or you can use Yari Samurai even to hold them up. That is an excellent strategy, and it's a good one to give a try. I hope you found this informative, and I hope that I'll see you next time.